Hey everyone, chapter 8 today is about intervals. Intervals are the space between two notes, and they're my favorite thing to talk about because to me, the space between two notes can mean so much. So when I play this for you, that's what we call a major third. It has a certain sound, it's very pleasing to our ear. When I play this for you, that's a minor second. That's actually a half step. And that's the smallest space you can do. And it's very dissonant is the word. It's very stressful sounding. So just the distance between two notes can have a very big emotional effect on the music. And I think it's very important to notice. Now, how do we write intervals? Well, intervals are that space. So we write them from 1 to 8. Okay? We're not going to talk about compound intervals, which are intervals bigger than 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1 we call a unison. So from 1 to 1, from C to C, that's a unison. From 1 to 8 is an octave because it's from C to the next C up. Octave. Okay? And then there's a bunch of stuff in between. So let's take a C major scale. Now in chapter 8 module, you'll see you have a PDF, and one of those PDFs is how to find the qualities of intervals, and it should look a little bit like this. You've got a C major scale, and then under it you've got C next to all the other notes of the scale, and then it says what intervals they are, okay? So look at that just for a second, okay? From C to C in a C major scale is a perfect unison. So we either talk about intervals in terms of perfect, major, minor, augmented, or diminished. We're mainly going to talk about perfect, major, and minor. Perfect intervals can be octave, and it says this in your sheet here. Perfect intervals can be octave, 1, or 8, unison, 1, and fourth and fifth. Major and minor intervals can be all the others. The second, the third, the sixth, and the seventh. Okay? Now, in a major scale, starting with C, let's take C major, the bottom note, on top of any of the other notes, any of the intervals that can be major, so that's second, third, sixth, and seventh, will be major. And any of the intervals that can be perfect, that's root, the 1, 4, 5, and octave, will be perfect. Let me show you what I'm talking about, okay? Because I'm talking about a bunch of stuff, let me show you. From C to C, perfect unison, perfect 1. From C to D, major second, from C to D. And you can look at your sheet now and see that. Major second. From C to E, major third. From C to F, perfect fourth. From C to G, perfect fifth. From C to A, major sixth. From C to B, major seven. And from C to C, perfect octave. So in a C major scale or any other major scale, the intervals that can be major, second, third, sixth, and seventh, will be major. Those are all major. And the intervals that can be perfect, root, fourth, fifth, octave, will be perfect. We don't have any augmented, we don't have any diminished intervals, okay? So the reason this is really important is if we're trying to find, if I say find a major sixth above C, well then what I would do is write out the C major scale, and whatever the sixth note of that scale is, it's going to be major, okay? Because in a major scale, all the intervals that can be major will be major. But what if we come across this? So that's the second example on that page there. From C to A, let's say you didn't know it was a major sixth. You had to identify what that interval was. First you would count from C to A. We can even count without looking at it. C, D, E, F, G, A. It's a sixth. C, D, E, F, G, A. It's a sixth. Even if it was C sharp to A, it would still be a sixth. Even if it was C to A flat, it would still be a sixth. C, D, E, F, G, A. Okay. Then we want to know if it's major or minor. Okay. So then what I would do is write out a C major scale, because C is the bottom note of the interval, and see what the sixth note of a C major scale is. If it's an A, because we have interval C to A, then your interval is a major six. However, in the second example, we have from C to A flat. So A flat is not in a C major scale. A is. Major six is C to A. If we lower the major six a half step, then we have a minor six. Okay? From major to minor. So if we had C to A flat, like that example we have there, and we didn't know what kind of interval it was, we would count and see that it's a sixth. Then we'd write the major scale. And then if it's not part of the major scale, we see if it's a half step lower, then it's going to be a minor interval. Okay? If it's a half step higher, then it'll be an augmented interval. If it's exactly that same note in the major scale, then it's a major interval or a perfect interval. Okay? Let's do another example. So, how about I give you this. Let me do it on my beautiful grand staff here. So, treble clef. And I am going to show you this. Let's do this one, and then let's also do this one. Okay. We have two intervals here, okay? What is the bottom note of both of these intervals? That's right, it's a D, right? We're in treble clef. The first interval here, from D to F sharp, let's not worry about any sharps or flats. Just from D to an F, what is the size of that interval? D, E, F. It's a third. D to F sharp. Okay, so this is some kind of third. I don't know if third is either major or minor, or augmented or diminished. D to B flat. Let's see the size of that interval. D, E, F, G, A, B. It's a sixth. Okay. D to B flat. So both of these have the bottom note D. So what I'm going to do is take the major scale of D, the bottom note, and write it out. Okay? And how do I write out a major scale? What's my major scale formula? Whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. Okay. D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp. So I quickly wrote out a D major scale. This might take you a little bit longer to figure out with the whole half step, but I figured I'll do it fast. Okay? Here's my major scale, and I put the scale numbers underneath so I would make sure. Okay. Now, in D major, the third from D to F sharp, what kind of third is it? That's right, it's a major third. All the intervals that can be major will be major, and all of them that could be perfect will be perfect. From D to the sixth, from D to B, what kind of interval is that? That's right, it's a major sixth. Okay, so from D to F sharp is a major third. Let's look over here. This is D to F sharp. Good, so then that's a major third. We don't have to do anything to it. From D to B is a major six. So this is D to B flat. D to B is a major six. Is this a major six? No, because it's not D to B. It's D to a half step lower, B flat. So it's a minor six. What about D to B sharp? Okay, well D to B is a major six. And then you go up a half step, it's still a sixth. What kind of sixth is it if you go up a half step? It's an augmented sixth. Okay, so this is an A sixth. Okay, let me show you. You have another PDF. You have all these PDFs in Chapter 8, and it's the intervals PDF, just to help you out. It's this little chart. You also have it in your textbook, but I like to have it on hand when I'm doing this, okay? It looks like some weird equation. All it is what we just did. So we had a major interval, that D to B, and then when it had a flat on it, we lowered it a half step, so that made it minor. We had a major interval, the D to B, and then the B had a sharp on it. It was raised a half step, so we went up a half step, and it made that interval augmented. So when we know what the major intervals are, or the perfect intervals, root, fourth, fifth, and octave, or second, third, sixth, and seventh for major, in a major scale, then all you need to do is figure out if it's raised a half step, augmented, lowered a half step, diminished, or something like that. I really like this chart because it kind of helps remind me, oh, from D to F sharp, that's a major third. That means if we lower the F sharp to an F natural, that's a minor third. Okay? We lowered a half step from major to minor. And it seems like a lot of information, but really the main thing I want to emphasize is use the major scale. So you know how to write a major scale. So then you know all your major intervals, second, third, sixth, and seventh, and you know all your perfect intervals, 1, 4, 5, and octave. Use the major scale of that bottom note and figure out if that top note is in the major scale, if it's a half step lower, if it's a half step above, and use it from there. I know the book has many different ways of having you do it. I like to use that way because it's kind of a fail-safe way. Okay? Okay, good luck.